Vikings, we're gonna start from CNN World. Vikings weren't necessarily blonde. Period. Or Scandinavian. Period. Okay. Why everything you thought you knew about the Norsemen may be wrong. Everything. Guys, everything. Let me tell you though, the guy in the picture kinda looks like me, so I'm starting to think you're full of shit. You know when you were saying this, then you're, I don't know. I'm just saying. Vikings were not Scandinavian. I kind of have a feel where this is going, but let's go. An artistic reconstruction of a Southern European Viking. I told you! Sorry. Emphasizing, here it is, the foreign gene flow into Viking Age Scandinavia. Okay, emphasize it all you want. London CNN, blonde-haired Scandinavian warriors who pillaged their way through Europe. Disgusting. We thought we knew everything about the Vikings, but some new research suggests we've been getting it wrong. So yeah, blonde-haired Scandinavian, how would you even think to put those two words one next to the other? Oh, it's already pretty bad you're saying blonde. Now you're gonna say Scandinavian next to it. And Viking. Bigotry. In the biggest study of its kind, published in the journal Nature Wednesday, researchers found that many Vikings actually had brown hair. And they weren't just from Scandinavia. Okay. I'm going to have a look at this study, okay? But before we do that, dear CNN, World, Planet, many is not a scientific term. Not to mention, it begs the question, how many? Because, I mean, even today in the Nordic countries, it's not like everyone is freaking blonde. Still, there is a little bit of a pattern, though, if you compare it to where I'm from, but whatever. And they weren't just from Scandinavia. Aha! So, Vikings weren't necessarily blonde or Scandinavian. Meaning what? They found 7 from a rate of 3,000 that weren't, I see. Wonderful case. I'm going to flip this back to you. In a 6-year study, archaeologists and academics used DNA technology to analyze more than 400 Viking skeletons from sites in Scandinavia, Greenland, and the UK. Researchers used DNA technology to analyze remains. That's wonderful. Who's this? Björn. They discovered that Vikings didn't just hail from Scandinavia. They also had genes from both Asia and Southern Europe in their bloodline. Oh, in their bloodline. In their bloodline, okay. The studies by academics at the University of Cambridge in the UK and the University of Copenhagen in Denmark found that Viking burial site in Scotland contained local people who may have taken on Viking identities. Listen, CNN study researchers, let me get this straight. Viking burial sites in Scotland contain people from Scotland, among Norse, I suppose. Wow, what a revelation. Who would have thought that they would have taken on Viking identities? I'll have to see if they expand. Researchers say their findings shatter a lot of the preconceptions surrounding Vikings. Open quotes. The results change the perception of who a Viking actually was. The history books will need to be updated, close quotes, said Eski Willerslev, a fellow of St. John's College, Cambridge. Open quotes, we didn't know genetically what they actually looked like until now, close quotes, Wilder added. He said the new research debunks the traditional image of blonde Viking. It doesn't debunk it. It doesn't debunk it. Just saying, you know, yeah, there were blonde Vikings, but they also had Vikings with brown hair. Doesn't debunk it. It doesn't debunk it. As many had brown hair. Many, again, what kind of scientists? Many. How many had brown hair anyways? And were influenced by genetic influx from the outside of Scandinavia. The study also revealed genetic differences between the various Viking populations within Scandinavia, that's interesting, which suggests different groups were more isolated than previously thought. So if they were more isolated, sir, it serves to reason that there's going to be less mixing and they're going to be more homogeneous if you do this in Scandinavia. Of course, if you do it in another land, anyways. And the research also indicated that Viking identity wasn't something exclusive to Viking themselves. I really need you to define that. 2 skeletons found on Orkney off the northern coast of Scotland, which had DNA similar to modern-day Irish and Scottish people, were buried in Viking-style graves. This suggests they may have taken on Viking identities, researchers say. Yes, okay, so basically, if you have an Irish man and he marries a Norse woman in Scotland, and then she dies, and then when he dies, he's like, I want to be buried with my wife. Oh, well, he took on the Viking identity, so we can't say Vikings were from Scandinavia anymore. Really, that's the logics. I know what they're doing. The word Viking, there he is, comes from the Scandinavian term vikingr, meaning pirate. And the Viking Age refer to the period of the Middle Ages between 800 and 1050s. The researchers explained, thank you. Vikings are known to have traveled across Europe and beyond by sea. Many of these expeditions involved raiding monasteries. Yeah, nobody's perfect, you know. But Vikings also traded goods, such as fur, tusks, and seal fat. Hold on a minute. You just explained, sir, you just explained that vikingr means pirate. So now that you're using the word after you explained it, I'm expecting you to use it to mean pirate. But now you're just saying that pirates also traded goods, such as fur, tusks, and seal fat. See, here's the thing. Norse did this. But those who instead went on a raiding party were called Vikings. Researchers have found that these all-male raiding parties... Ooh, I see a little misogyny there. Are you saying that women aren't empowered enough in that period to go on these raiding parties? Is that what you're saying, CNN? Were made up of friends, family members, and neighbors. Great. If there are neighbors, they could belong to a different ethnicity. The data collected would also be useful in the study of natural selection in the past, according to Lead, blah, blah, blah. He said that the data, open quotes, allows us to disentangle how selection unfolded before, during, and after the Viking movement across Europe, close quotes. Wait a second. Natural selection over a period of 1,000 years. That's not how natural selection works. Like when that's not how natural selection works. With the potential to, open quotes, begin to infer the physical appearance of ancient Vikings and compare them to Scandinavians today, close quotes. The genetic legacy of the Viking is still present today, the researchers said, with an estimated 6% of people in the UK and 10% of people in Sweden carrying Viking DNA in their genes. So here's the thing. If CNN World was not trying to push any political message, they would not only apply this to those ethnicities that they perceive to be a threat. No. They would apply the same method to anyone. Am I right? Here is the methodological frame of this article. We found some Vikings who had brown hair. We found a couple of Vikings that were not from Scandinavian. Hence, now we can debunk the idea that the Vikings were majority blonde and the Vikings were from Scandinavia. That's it. Hence, why don't you try this, CNN World? Since you have a tab dedicated to Africa to show your logical consistency. Zulu weren't necessarily black, period, or African, period. Why everything you thought you knew about the Zulu men may be wrong. How do I justify that? Oh, easy. All we need to do is find 3 people buried nearby villages of the Zulu in Africa who were from Europe. Maybe find an Asian while you're at it. I have a feeling that's not going to happen. Next, Viking may not have been blonde or Scandinavian. So as you see, every single article now is repeating the same stuff. Also, when you purchase through links on our website, we may earn an affiliate commission. I'm buying nothing from you, Life Science. I mean, unless this skeleton is for sale. This would look really good for a Halloween, yeah.